Welcome to a Straightforward Connection with Tommy. This video is on your SmackDown 205 Live results for this week. They have moved your WWE main event to Sunday nights. So I'm only going to give you your SmackDown and your 205 Live results. Birthdays and this is for the SmackDown episode, August 14th. Birthdays from the 12th. Terry Taylor, 1955, followed by 1985. August 13th birthday, Spike Dudley, 1970. August 14th birthday is Bob Backlund, 1949. Bobby Eaton, 1958. Buddy Landell, 1961. Kofi Kingston, 1981. Johnny Gargano, 1987. August 16th birthdays, Dirty Dick Murdoch, 1946. Big Cass, 1987. And Cedric Alexander, rounding out your birthdays. He was born in 1989. 2018 Mae Young Classic competitor and Shimmer star Vanessa Kraven announced on social media that she is retiring from pro wrestling. Vanessa Kraven made her wrestling debut in 2004. During her career, she held the APW Heavyweight title, NCW Women's Championship, NCW Femmes Fatale International Championship, PWE Flame Championship, and the Shimmer Tag Team Championship with former Impact star Tessa Blanchard. Also wrestled in Japan, in NEO, Japan Ladies Pro Wrestling, and JPW. As mentioned, Vanessa Kraven was in the 2018 Mae Young Classic competition. She lost in the first round by NXT star Lacey Lane. Several pro wrestling stars have responded to the Twitter challenge issued by internet celebrity Logan Paul earlier this week. Also noted, the YouTube star took to Twitter on Monday and called out other social media influencers, offering $10,000 to anyone who can beat him in a wrestling match. $10,000 to any influencer who can beat me in a wrestling match, Paul wrote. Paul, who has talked about being a WWE fan in the past and is a friend of The Rock, did not say if this would be a pro wrestling match or an amateur wrestling bout. But it's possibly that he was referring to some sort of amateur contest, and he was a wrestler in high school and qualified for the Ohio High School Athletic Association Division I Individual Championships in 2013. Paul and his brother, Jake Paul, got into boxing last year. Logan competed in his first pro boxing match in November 2019, losing to KSI, another rapper and internal celebrity, in the 6th round. WWE SmackDown superstar Matt Riddle responded to the tweet and wrote, "Bro, ECW original New Jack went viral for his response to the YouTuber. I'll kill this MFer." Jack wrote in response to Paul's tweet. WWE's Dio Madden challenged Paul to face Mansoor in Saudi Arabia. Face at KSA Manny in Saudi Arabia. You won't, Madden wrote. Former WWE and TNA star The Pope, D'Angelo Gennaro, a.k.a. Elijah Burke, also, who was once an amateur boxer with a record of 98-1, responded to Paul and offered to put up $15,000 to Paul's $10,000 for wrestling or boxing. I'll put $15,000 against your $10,000 wrestling or boxing. PHS, that means Pope has spoken, Pope tweeted. AEW's Joey Janela, who recently left social media, has also has his representative responded. They wrote, "On behalf of Joey Janela, we accept the challenge." AEW stars Big Swole also responded, offering to face Paul in an intergender match. Sounds like donation money to me. Lego, Swole wrote. Swole wasn't the only women's wrestler to respond to former WWE superstars Summer Rae, who also offered to accept the challenge. She wrote, yes, it is. Hello, sir, at Logan Paul. Impact Wrestling star Ethan Page also threw in his name into the hat and wrote, "So me?" Paul has not responded to any of the pro wrestlers as of this writing. or of this video. But stay tuned, and I'll keep you updated. Heck, I might as well throw my name into it. And here are the aforementioned responses along with reactions from Mickie James, RJ City, Jordan Oliver, Thunder Rosa, Session Moth Martina, Warhorse, and Hammerstone also throwing in their names to the hat as well. Alex Hammerstone, Beef Castle Championship Online, Thunder Rosa 22. I will at Take Your Sorry, but at any day at Logan Paul, at the Jordan Oliver. Dang, am I fine to be young, dumb, and rich? At this thing, the picture. Looks like WWE maybe have done away with the Raw Underground dancers already. Week 1 of Raw Underground was met with some criticism over 3 women who were seen dancing on the stage, who were focused on last, at least one, during the segment with host Shane McMahon. Week 2 of Raw Underground aired, and the dancers were nowhere to be seen. Liv Morgan took to Twitter today and said that she misses the Raw Underground dancers. She wrote, "Hey, hashtag Raw Underground. Can we bring back the dancers next week?" Possibly she could be dancing. While most of the criticism over the dancers came from fans on social media, noted on Monday evening how WWE Hall of Famer Alundra Blaze called out WWE over the women on the stage. So, we are bringing back half-naked women in the same breath of promoting the evolution and equality of women. Yes, this is entertainment. Yes, this is skit. Yes, this is acting. Yes, these are wrestlers. Why resort to women sexually dancing? Opening show. Why not? Men in Speedos, Blaze wrote. Talk about equality. Pro wrestling veteran Lance Storm agreed with Blaze on Monday's Raw before they had it aired. Did he just open his mouth? Be open? Is he gay? If he wants men in Speedos, aka the dancing guys. I agree with your point completely. I will pop huge tonight if they do a women's underground and have 3 Chip and Dale dancers type. If you're going to do Katie, at least do it for everyone. Hashtag equality. So we'll back. No word yet on if the dancers will be brought back as work shoe style fighting concept continues on Monday nights. WWE's latest signature series, title replica page tribute to the Hall of Famer Chyna, can be found in this link. $499 replica is reproduction of the Attitude Era version of the WWE Intercontinental title that the 9th wonder of the world once held. It included a custom nameplate with 6 Swarovski crystals. The strap featured studs in homage to Chyna's ring gear with her logo and nickname. The belt includes 5mm thick plates and weighs over 6 pounds. WWE previously released Signature Series Championship replicas for several Hall of Famers and legends: Eddie Guerrero, Triple H, The Rock, John Cena, Bret Hart, the Hulkster, Hollywood Hogan, Shawn Michaels, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Former WWE Intercontinental Champion Ken Shamrock is apparently interested in returning to the company to help with the new Raw Underground's concept. The MMA legend took to Twitter before last night's Raw episode and offered to help WWE and Shane McMahon with the new work shoot style fighting concept. Hey, at WWE and at Shane McMahon, next time you guys want to do some work shoots on hashtag Raw Underground and actually make them look good, you got my number. Give me a call, he wrote. A fan responded with some criticism in a now deleted tweet, but Shamrock clarified that he's not looking to actually participate in the fights, just provide some guidance. I said, if you want to make it look real, which I know how to do, I never said participate, Shamrock wrote. Another fan commented and said Shamrock has nothing better to do. Why would I do anything else? I love fighting, he responded. Shamrock recently made a return to Impact Wrestling and was inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame. This past February, He indicated that he is not currently signed to any exclusive contract with the promotion, so he's free to go. Another fan responded and said Impact would have to release him before he could work with WWE again. Shamrock again responded, not true, because he's not signed. Another fan criticized the world's most dangerous man in another now deleted tweet. Shamrock fired back and said he can still kick butt when needed. First off, I am in better shape and can kick some butt when need to be. Be very careful in judging someone for their age, and it looks like you are the last person to judge me. Lazy. Shamrock wrote, UFC Hall of Famer continued firing back at fans who tried to come for him. One fan asked if he was done selling D-flips and referencing to feuding with Joey Ryan to Impact. Shamrock wrote back, tell you what, sit down and I will keep making lots of money. And you can stay on the couch and watch everyone else. Shamrock has not appeared for WWE since 1999. No word on if WWE would be interested in bringing Shamrock into the help to book Raw. Looks like Samoa Joe will be returning to that ring action in WWE soon. MVP recently spoke with Philip Martinez of Newsweek and revealed that Joe is coming back to action soon. MVP made the comments when asked who he'd like to work with on the Raw brand. There's always someone, MVP answered. I was talking recently with Aleister Black, and his talent has impressed me. He's a guy that impressed me in the ring and out of the ring and in the locker room. He's got that old school mentality, emerging as a locker room leader in his own right, and he's gifted. What I understand, old Samoa Joe is going to be back in action, and over the years, Samoa Joe and I have been great friends, but we've never faced each other. At this stage in my career, I think I feel a lot more confident facing him, knowing that I got Bobby and Shelton backing me up, but I also know that wouldn't faze Joe in the least. There's a number of guys that are coming along that I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to work with in same capacity. Joe last wrestled on TV during the February 10th Raw, where he teamed with Kevin Owens and the Viking Raiders for a loss to Seth Rollins, AOP, and Murphy. Joe spent several months on the shelf in late 2019 due to a broken thumb, returning to the ring in late December, then suffered a concussion while doing a dive on January 27th Raw episode. Returned to action for 1 week, suffered another concussion at a Raw commercial shoot in early February. Joe tested positive to violate the WWE wellness policy and was suspended for 30 days. WWE brought him back to Raw announce him in late April, even during the pandemic. Joe's recently appeared on WWE's Raw and talked about his commentary work and Vince McMahon's reaction. I have had zero media aspirations, Joe said on the bump. I just drift through life, and things just hit me as they come. I got the commentary table. It was funny when the light shined on me. I started to hear the angels sing. I said to myself, you know, this might be a good fit. I then put my headset on, and Vince McMahon come through and said, you know, this feels right. I was like, I know. It's been a weird journey, but I'm still on it. It's an odyssey and a quest. I'm just trying to take the world along with me. I have a very descriptive mind. You know, when I see things, my observations are quick to come right out of my mouth. So yeah, it's been working out very well. No word yet on what WWE is planning for Joe, but he had recent interactions with Seth Rollins during Raw segments. Stay tuned for updates on his return. Probably that feud will happen after the Rey Mysterio feud. WWE reportedly looking at using the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida for upcoming events such as your SummerSlam, as well as your live action coming soon. Florida reported John Alba of Spectrum Sports 360 in Orlando reported that WWE is exploring the idea of using the Amway Center for SummerSlam, but they are also considering the arena for other events moving forward. eWrestlingNews.com first reported that WWE will be loading in equipment this Friday and will run until Tuesday or Wednesday. Amway Center is officially closed until next year due to COVID-19 pandemic. A rep for the arena told Alba that if an event was finalized recently, word would not have made it down the ranks yet. This means SummerSlam at the Amway Center is possible. It was also noted that by Alba that WWE has saved a significant amount of money on production costs this year due to being off the road and taping shows at the WWE Performance Center. He speculated that if money was an issue in getting the Amway Center open, then that would be an obstacle WWE would overcome due to the money that they saved this year. Alba also speculated that if WWE were able to secure a lease at the Amway Center, it would be possible for fans to eventually return to tapings due to how big the arena is. There would be plenty of room to practice social distancing. SummerSlam takes place on August 23rd in just 10 days. Stay tuned for updates on the location. Jeff Hardy versus Intercontinental Champion AJ Styles is reportedly planned for SummerSlam. Hardy vs. Styles was planned direction for the SmackDown on Fox episode that is still being taped at the Performance Center to air during the night, which is next week's supposedly episode. According to BW Insider, Hardy recently worked a feud with Sheamus, while Styles has retained over Grand Metalik, Matt Riddle, and Drew Gulak in recent weeks since winning the vacant title in early June. So, the 2020 SummerSlam pay-per-view is scheduled to air live on August 23rd. It's being reported that the event will take place at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, but that has not been confirmed as of this video. Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels is returning to Raw, advertised on SmackDown for Monday night. WWE announced during SmackDown that Heartbreak Kid will be on Monday's Raw to address last week's attack on Hall of Famer Ric Flair by Randy Orton. It's also being teased that Rey Mysterio will return to Raw next week. Rey has been away for several weeks since losing the eye for eye match at the horror show Extreme Rules. While his son Dominic Mysterio feuds with Rollins, Dominic versus Rollins will take place at SummerSlam, and Dominic will be able to use weapons. Previously announced, Mickie James in ring return for Monday's show. She will be wrestling Natalya, as she was teased for SmackDown Women's Battle Royal, but that didn't happen. Monday's Raw is a go-home edition of SummerSlam, and the announcement on Mysterio and Michaels. WWE reportedly had another round of positive COVID-19 tests last week. Also noted, there were issues with the Performance Center TV tapings on Tuesday, August 4th. WWE had planned to tape multiple episodes of SmackDown and 205 Live, but ended up taping just one episode of each show. It was noted that the delays were due to problems with organization and possibly with how late the Raw tapings ran the night before. The delay led to WWE holding another taping on August 13th for SmackDown and 205 Live episode. In an update, last week's delay was reportedly due to more people testing positive for the coronavirus. No names were given. It was reported by BW Insider by 3 different sources that the second SmackDown taping, scheduled for last week, was nixed after the last minute because more positive COVID-19 test results come back. WWE implemented additional COVID-19 protocols and put significant effort into preventing the spread of the virus after the large outbreak in June. No word yet on who tested positive in the latest round of tests. If more wrestlers test positive than other employees, however, it was reported last week that some talents were booked for the tapings had to be pulled at the last minute, which was also contributed to the delay. 2 of the wrestlers who were reportedly pulled from the SmackDown taping were Killian Dane and Danny Burch. They were on NXT, but they both were wrestled on this week's episode. Possible that was for next week's episode. Possible that they were pulled for next week for creative reasons. And I went to a event on Saturday night in Texas, I possibly would have had a call-up to the show if I had my partner show up, which would have been Court Caution. He was teasing a return to that company as well, with possible invasion. He was going to call it the, I forgot what he was calling it. He loves his main word. I can't think of what he was calling it. Well, on to your SmackDown results. SmackDown on Fox opened up with a video package looking at some recent antics by Retribution. We also will see their invasion of the Performance Center on last Friday's show. Going back a minute to that show, they did do COVID-19 spraying on the ring ropes before each match, but not on the mat itself. They didn't spray it down, but they did the ring ropes only. Until your main event, which was your Battle Royal, then they did spray the ring. They sprayed the ring before the matches started. Did not wipe them down. They did the same thing in your main event only, which had about 20, there's 30 members of the roster on that roster. And they had 2 debuting members who were not on the roster. And that's why I didn't make my debut. Okay, live on tape delay from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, as the developmental trainees cheered in the crowd. Michael Colesaw welcomes us to the show, chimed in by the Tattoo Champion of the World, Corey Graves. Colesaw says, WWE is taking precautions for the Retribution for Retribution tonight. We see how extra security is hired to guard the entrance. So, and they also hyped tonight's lineup. Well, they did the outside of the building, but not much around the arena. Big E versus John Morrison. As you will see later on in the show, in the results. Go right to the ring, out comes Big E, and Greg Hamilton does ring in introductions. We get a pre-recorded video of Big E hyping himself up for the singles run, out next to John Morrison. We also get a pre-recorded video of Morrison talking about how the New Day is injury prone. The lights start flickering as the match is about to begin. A masked female member of Retribution appears on the apron. Big E and Morrison stop and look at her. She enters the ring and faces off with Big E and Morrison now. As I said, they wasn't around the arena. The security guards, what have you, other talent. More masked men and women with weapons inside the Performance Center. Colesaw and Graves run to the back. Big E and Morrison start fighting the masked invaders, but they're beat down. Other members of the group are standing on the top of the announce table, yelling and raising their weapons. They lay Big E and Morrison out as the boos get louder. Retribution now takes off and runs away to the back. Because you got wrestlers coming from the back as well. Even the Miz comes out. Miz didn't accompany Morrison. Could the Miz even be in Retribution? As he wasn't supporting his member, Miz and Morrison. Big E was face down in the ring. Morrison was laid out before at ringside. Miz runs down, like I said, checks on Morrison as you got a commercial. He wasn't even wearing wrestling gear. Back for the break. The group of superstars in the back. Miz apologizes to Morrison for not being there, noting that he had a call with Maurice. Excuses. Morrison blames everything on Big E sending a tweet out. Miz and Morrison leave. That match is scheduled for later now. King Corbin comes into the picture and says, "We are under attack." No one wants to listen. He says, "We need direction," and he is that guy. If everyone follows him, he can lead them to safety. He goes on, and Big E tells him to shut up. Shut his mouth. What? Who does he think he is? Jericho? Big E says, "This is our house, and he'll be danged if he is a Foot Clan from the Ninja Turtles." And runs up in here and puts their feet on his couch. Big E goes on and gets everyone hyped up. Even Corbin's minion, G. He says he will go back in the ring tonight, beat Morrison, and show Retribution how it's done. Big E says now is not the time to run and hide. It's the time to fight. He asks who is with him, and most everyone seems to be. Sheamus walks in to the next segment, and mocks Big E, wearing his little golfer hat what have you. I should say not golfer hat, but the hat. Remember back in the day from the faction of ECW? Full-blooded Italians, the FBI team. Yeah, you know the guy, the one with a hat. Well, Sheamus goes on and taunts Shorty G. Sheamus isn't afraid of retribution, but if they had any sense at all, they'd be afraid. Biggie isn't backing down, but he leaves and some of the others follow. Sheamus and Corbin have a few words and looks on. So that match, possibly later on. We go back to the arena and see extra security standing guard now. Tri-brand Battle Royal. Asuka, Tamina Snuka, Tegan Knox, Shotzi Blackheart, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Naomi, Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke, Nikki Cross. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 women. Women's Tag Team Champions are in the ring now. Raw Women's Tag Champion Sasha Banks and SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. They say Retribution actually wants to hear what they have to say. And everyone else should too. Banks says everyone knows not to interrupt them. Bayley says it's time to get the show going with the Tri-Brand Battle Royal. They keep ranting on the mic, and now it's time for the Battle Royal. They kick Hamilton out of the ring and say they're taking his job now for your ring introductions. Bayley and Banks start doing introductions for this match. They introduce the Iconics first from Raw, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Winner of this match will challenge Bayley for the Blue Brand title at SummerSlam. Banks and Bayley take shots at the Iconics as they enter the ring. NXT Superstars, Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart are introduced next. Bayley and Banks comment on the NXT stars, idolizing them. Lacey Evans is introduced next, and they mention her daughter. The next entrance is, and Banks and Bayley are confused about this one, as another star from Raw. Music interrupts, and out comes Asuka. Asuka hits the ring, and the crowd does their own introduction, and starts a brawl with the champs. They retreat to the floor and look on as Asuka raises Banks' title in the air. The other competitors run down to the ring as we go to commercial. Back from the break, bell rings, and the match is underway. Banks and Bayley watch from ringside. Iconics work on Riott. Liv Morgan is dumped, so she's out. Ruby gets kicked to the floor to save Liv. Tamina Snuka throws big punches in the corner. Iconics get eliminated. As does Ruby, Nikki Cross, and Dana Brooke go at it now. And Cross shots Brooke in the apron. Bianca Belair drops Tegan in the corner. Tamina fights off Shotzi and Tegan. Naomi works on Lacey in the corner. Cross tries to attack Snuka, but she just takes it. Snuka catches the crossbody and sends Cross to the apron, but she hangs on. Snuka super kicks Cross out, eliminating her. Snuka with a double clothesline on Knox and Blackheart now. Belair and Snuka face off now. Then they go at it. Shayna Baszler is down in the corner, watching. Belair eliminates Snuka with a big move over the top rope. Surprise everybody. Naomi and Evans trade shots in the corner, in the center of the ring now. Shotzi beats on Belair in the corner. Naomi drops Baszler with a kick. Evans eliminates Naomi with a women's right to booze. Shotzi eliminates Evans for a pop. Baszler grabs Shotzi and applies a carabiner clutch. Evans pulls Shotzi out while she's in the submission, and she's eliminated. Belair works on Knox. Knox counters and rocks her. Belair overpowers, but Knox keeps fighting. Knox eliminates Belair. It's down to Asuka, Knox, and Baszler now. As y'all size each other up, Knox unloads on Asuka and Baszler in the corners. Clotheslines and cannonballs. Knox drops Asuka face first. Baszler botches a slam to Knox, but recovers. Dana helps Baszler eliminate Knox from outside the ring. It looks like Brooke was never eliminated. She has words with Banks and Bayley at ringside. Then returns to the ring. Brooke drop kicks Baszler. Brooke handsprings into a clutch from Baszler. Asuka with a hip attack to eliminate Brooke. And yes, this is an over-the-top battle royal. So, Dana Brooke was not eliminated. It's down to Asuka and Baszler now. They size each other up as the champs look on worried. Baszler kicks Asuka from the top to the apron. Bayley tries to pull Asuka to the floor, but Asuka kicks her back. Banks checks on Bayley, but Asuka hits them both with a knee from the apron. Baszler knocks Asuka off the apron, but she lands on Bayley and Banks is back. Asuka comes back in onto the apron and fights with Baszler. They take on the apron, and Asuka jumps Baszler to the floor to win the match. And your new number one contender to Bayley for her SmackDown title is Asuka, who is on Raw. Asuka now has a SummerSlam title shot against Banks and Bayley. She celebrates as the music hits as we go to replays. As the Golden Role models look on, not happy with the result. So to come segment, an update on Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. And by the way, if she wins both matches, guess what? She can beat Asuka 2 belts. Possibly when they go back to a one show thing, they reunite the title and will have one woman as a champ. Back for the break, we see Sasha Banks and Bayley backstage. Bayley isn't happy about Asuka earning her right to face for a SummerSlam. They calm down some, but Asuka suddenly attacks and beats her down. Asuka taunts Banks and Bayley as officials rush over to break things up. Coleslaw leads us to a look at Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose feud. Rose is backstage now. She cuts an intense promo on how she's a hard worker despite everything against her. She thanks Deville for reminding her that she's more than just a pretty face. And by the way, she's got short hair now. And Deville thought cutting her hair would destroy her. Think again. Rose challenges Deville to a hair versus hair match at SummerSlam. She tells Deville to put her money where her mouth is. And says she can't wait to prove Deville wrong. Rose promises things will get ugly. Chambers approaches some security guards in the back. He tells them to clock out and enjoy a few pints because Retribution won't be showing up on his watch. And his match is up next. They leave and Sheamus looks on. Back to commercial. Back to the break, Nikki Cross is pacing backstage when Alexa Bliss walks up. Cross hugs her and apologizes for pushing her down 2 weeks ago and everything else. She asks what's been going on, but Bliss says she's fine. Cross wants to get Bliss to safety because of the Fiend, but Bliss says she wants to stay around here and get some answers from Universal Champion Braun Strowman. As Bliss walks off. Next match, Sheamus versus Shorty G. We go back to the ring. Out first comes Sheamus. We see what happened with Sheamus and Shorty G last week. Music hits and now out comes G to the ring. Bell rings and they go at it. Sheamus unloads with back elbows in the corner, beating G down. Sheamus stays on G and sends him out to the apron. Sheamus with a series of forearms to the chest, knocking G to the floor. Sheamus follows and brings G back in the ring. Sheamus with a big uppercut. G comes right back with a drop kick to the knee. Taking Sheamus down. G works on the left leg now. G keeps Sheamus down with a body scissors down, mounting Sheamus with forearms to the face from behind. G looks to keep the momentum going, but Sheamus levels him. Sheamus with an Irish curse backbreaker and 2 big knee strikes. Big knees while G is down. Sheamus keeps control as the crowd rallies. G fights up and out, but Sheamus needs him again. G with a rolling kick. G goes to the top and hits a missile drop kick to take Sheamus down again. G covers Sheamus for a 2 count. The tackle and G takes Sheamus down into an ankle lock. Sheamus reaches for the rope, but G pulls him back. Sheamus gets out, but G jackknifed him into a 2 count. Sheamus comes right back with a right noise in the middle of the ring. G gets up and turns around to a bro kick, and Sheamus covers for the pin in the win. After the match, Sheamus poses in the corner as the crowd boos. We go to replays. Sheamus stands tall and yells out as the music plays. We see G recovering on the mat. Intercontinental Champion AJ Styles is seen backstage yelling at WWE producer Joseph Parks. Yes, he has made his on-screen debut. Who looks terrified? And if you're not familiar with Joseph Park, that's the same name he used when he was in Impact Wrestling. and he also was Abyss. He looks terrified as he shows AJ something on the screen. Graves says AJ is tired of facing challengers who aren't worthy. So tonight, we will see the debut of the phenomenal statistic system back in the ring. As they go back to commercial. Back for the break, out comes Intercontinental Champion AJ Styles. Producer Joseph Park is with him in the ring. But it looks like he's playing a new character. There's an easel in the middle of the ring, covered up with black. AJ says a lot of going on in WWE right now. And nobody cares about these hooligans trying to tear stuff up. He says we have more pressing things to worry about. Like who the heck he will face at SummerSlam. AJ goes on about being a fighting champion and how nerds keep telling him who he should defend against based on statistics. AJ says it dawned on him when he watches baseball and he looks at a batting average. He also looks at statistics when he watches football, when he realized he's a handsome son of a nerd himself because he cares about statistics. AJ says it's as easy as this. If you're going to go by statistics, then he's hired a team to come up with a phenomenal Intercontinental statistics system, or call it PISS, P-I-S-S. He says it's a work in progress. AJ says this doesn't mean he's just handing out title shots. He doesn't hand out anything. You will earn this. He pulls off the top part of this easel covering, and the whiteboard shows his name at the top in the number one spot. He pulls off the rest of the covering to show who else is on the chart, but there is no one else. What? He's doing the Spears from AEW thing. Now, you know, your 10 point, you got your top, your number 10 things. The perfect 10. Crowd boos. AJ says no one else has earned the right to be in the ring with him. But here's the truth. If you work hard, real hard, really, really hard, then one day you can make it on the board and face him for the title. Well, it seems like that you just made the list. You know, Chris Jericho style. Music and Earl style comes Jeff Hardy to a pop. This sets up your championship match at SummerSlam. Hardy mentions the respect he has for AJ in his career. He also talks about how Sheamus robbed him in the Intercontinental title tournament. Jeff goes on about how special the Intercontinental title is to him. Jeff goes on and says AJ has to admit that Styles versus Hardy sounds mega cool. A mega cool chant breaks out from the crowd. Hardy says he's out here man to man to ask AJ for a shot at the title. AJ says statistics aside, he respects Jeff and always had. They've known each other for a long, long time. And Jeff has always been good to him. AJ admires what Jeff has been through and where he's coming from. AJ says a lot of people would love to see them in the ring together. AJ goes on giving Jeff props and says he deserves to be on the board. AJ lures Jeff in and says, hell no, to the title shot. And AJ hits won't be a pity party. Jeff suddenly attacks AJ and beats him down. Jeff grabs a marker and writes his name on the whiteboard, artistically style. Jeff stands tall as his music plays while AJ is laid out on the floor. Still to come, a face-off between The Fiend and the Monster, plus Big E versus John Morrison. We see SmackDown Tag Team Champion Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura backstage. They put the belts on display and talk some about Lucha House Party not having a chance against them. Let's Dorado and Grand Metallic suddenly creep up and snatch the titles, running away with them. The champs go after them, and we return to a commercial break. Back from the break, Kayla Braxton stops AJ Styles and his assistant, Joseph Parks. Yep, they were formerly together in Impact Wrestling. Kayla asks about Jeff Hardy. AJ says Jeff assaulted him and doesn't respect the title or him, or analytics. AJ says if Jeff wants a piece of him, he's going to get it. AJ says he will show everyone what happens when you mess with him. You get erased. So what? Now is he playing the eraser of WWE? Arnold Schwarzenegger? AJ turns to erase Jeff's name off the whiteboard. that his assistant is carrying. But he gets upset when he sees it's written in permanent marker. AJ fumes and tells his assistant to come on. Grand Metalik versus Shinsuke Nakamura. We'll go back to ring. Out comes Lucha House Party. Grand Metalik versus Les Dorado. SmackDown Tag Team Champions are out next. Shinsuke Nakamura with Cesaro. We'll get a sidebar video with Cesaro cutting a promo on Lucha House Party. The bell rings and they go at it. Nakamura takes Metalik to the corner and beats him down. Cesaro has regained possession of both titles and he stands with them at ringside. Nakamura keeps Metalik down and drops a big knee for a 2 count. Cole talks about how it's rumored that SmackDown will be in a different venue next week. Like I stated earlier, different venue, the only venue that could be, like one I was already stated. Graves then says there will be fan involvement. Live audience? Yes. That takes it to a new level. The match continues as Metalik tries to mount some offense. Nakamura cuts him off and covers for another pin attempt. Nakamura with more big kicks out. Metalik with a crossbody. More back and forth. Metalik slams Nakamura on his face. Metalik with a big springboard back elbow, but Nakamura kicks out too. Metalik avoids an exploder suplex and drops Nakamura with a kick. Metalik goes to the top rope, but Cesaro provides a distraction from the apron, allowing Nakamura to nail a big kick for a close 2 count. Nakamura tries for an exploder and nails it this time. Nakamura waits for Metalik to get up. He calls for Kasacha, but the music interrupts. Out comes Kalisto for his return to the Lucha House Party. Cesaro and Nakamura are surprised. Lance and Kalisto end up double teaming Cesaro on the ramp. Kalisto drops him on the ramp with a big DDT. Metalik takes advantage in the ring and connects with a big elbow. Drop for the pin and the win. Singles action, so will they get a tag team title shot? Stay tuned next week. We're live. Because it was live on Friday, it's going to be live on Saturday. Or, yeah, well, Saturday is your NXT event. We'll go back to the event from Texas. I'll let you know about this. COVID-19, they did not enforce the mask rule, so you did not have to wear a mask, and it was extremely hot in the building. They only had like 2 blower fans. That was it. Felt like 120 degrees in the building. And yes, this was at night. Back to action. Back from the break. Kayla's backstage with Matt Riddle now. But before that, they have Alexa Bliss backstage prepared for a sit-down interview. But we go to Matt Riddle in the back. She asks him about King Corbin and his King's Ransom in Retribution. Riddle says, a bounty on your head isn't cool, but he came here to compete and he wants to compete. But Corbin walks around calling himself a king, but he's just a royal pain. Riddle says he's called Corbin out and he tried to fight him, even costing him a match with Sheamus last week. Riddle doesn't know what else to do. Shorty G walks up and says he has to explain himself. He has a family to feed and he's got caught up in King's Ransom. But that doesn't justify what he did. Trying to injure another superstar is not him, and he's embarrassed. He came here to apologize face to face, man to man. I didn't see that segment myself. He extends his hand for a shake, and Riddle says it's all good. He gets it. Riddle says if G ever wants to go at it, let her know because the bro is up for a fight. Corbin suddenly attacks from behind. Riddle attacks Riddle from behind and beats him down. Corbin talks down at Riddle, and G looks on. Not impressed with the sneak attack, Corbin thanks G for helping him, but it looks like G wasn't involved. Corbin walks off. Cole sends her to Alexa Bliss backstage. She's being interviewed by an unknown interviewer. She talks about how she previously got to know WWE Universal Champion Braun Strowman. We see some clips from their past together. She says Strowman is awesome, a good man, funny and witty, protective, passionate. They get along so well because they call each other on their crap. They can be fun with each other and be best friends. The interviewer asks if she thought it would become more than a friendship, like romantically, she asks. She says maybe because they both cared about each other. She asks if that's why the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, targeted her. She doesn't know. That's a question for the Fiend. She asks what it's like to be in the Fiend's presence. She says it's scary, terrifying, and also compelling. She says once you interacted with the Fiend, it's almost like you can just feel his presence. For the first time in her life, she understands what they say when they say a moth to a flame. We see Braun's comments from last week where he told the Fiend that he doesn't give a dang about this. All he cares about is destroying the Fiend because he is a monster. He asked Bliss how that made her feel. Bliss thinks about it and doesn't say anything. She just looks away and the interview ends. Back to commercial. Back for the break, Cole's confirms AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy for Intercontinental title next week. Not for the show. Not for SummerSlam. Sonya Deville backstage. She addresses Mandy Rose and says she was surprised to hear her hair versus hair challenge for SummerSlam. Deville says Rose is going to look great, bald. Deville goes on taking shots at Rose and says she would enjoy her once and for all. Deville accepts the challenge for SummerSlam. Next match, we got Big E versus John Morrison. We go to ring for your Big E and John Morrison match. Beginning, Miz is on commentary. Miz with kicks to the hurt knee of Big E to start. Big E comes back and puts Morrison down with her shoulder. Morrison comes back and drops Big E for a 2 count. Morrison shows off some, tosses Big E while he's down. Big E dodges a kick and leaps over Morrison. Rocks him with a shoulder, bump, more back and forth. Morrison tries to springboard in, but Big E knocks him out of midair to the floor. Miz looks concerned. They bring him back in the ring, and Big E levels Morrison again for another pop. Big E pounds on Morrison with 4 arms while he's down. Big E goes on and hits a big splash on the apron while Morrison's down. Morrison rolls to the floor. Now, Big E follows and taunts Morrison. Miz gets up and encourages Morrison. Miz ends up providing a distraction at ringside, allowing Morrison to come from behind and taking Big E's knee out. The crowd boos. Morrison brings it back in for a 2 count. Morrison grounds Big E now. Otis comes out with his Money in the Bank briefcase, like he's going to cash in. Neither one of them are champion. Having words with Miz. The lights start flicking again in the arena. Cole calls for security, and Miz looks around as we go back to commercial. Back for the break, we see security out around the arena. SmackDown locker room is all around the ringside area. The lights start flicking again as Big E versus Morrison match is still going on. Camera cuts backstage and we see Retribution members destroying catering. They attack referees and take out a security guard with a steel chair after he runs in. They continue to destroy the room, throwing chairs around and turning tables over. They bully other people and start spray painting the walls. We go back to the match inside the arena, and Morrison drops Big E with a kick for a 2 count. Referee finally runs out and tells the superstars about what's happening. Backstage, they run to the back as Morrison and Big E keep fighting. Miz also stays on commentary and says he will let the others deal with Retribution. Morrison takes out Big E's hurt knee again. We see the SmackDown superstars rush to the back to find the room destroyed. Retribution is gone. We go back to the ring and Morrison climbs to the top with Big E as Big E fights back and shoves him to the mat. Morrison charges, but Big E catches him with a Uranage for a 2 count. The crowd rallies for Morrison and avoids a big ending. Morrison turns it around and delivers a kick, but Big E rolls him up for a 2 count. Morrison tries to resist, but Big E catches him in a stretch muffler submission for the win. After the match, Big E stands tall as his music plays. He rolls to the floor, and Miz checks on Morrison. Big E is suddenly leveled at ringside by a big bro kick from Sheamus, who runs down the ramp as Big E is exiting the ring. Universal Champion Braun Strowman suddenly comes out yelling with a freshly shaved head, but still with his beard. Strowman stares at the ring and marches down as the others retreat. We got a commercial. Back from the break, Universal Champion Braun Strowman is in the ring with his new bald look. Strowman delivers a message to the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, that says he warned him after the swamp fight that he would be the most evil son of a B-word we ever seen. Strowman calls the Fiend to the ring so he can rip him limb from limb. Strowman says it will be the last thing the Fiend sees before he eats out his entrails. The music hits, and out comes Alexa Bliss instead. Bliss says, at the risk of upsetting Braun more, she thinks she owes it to their friendship to have a conversation. He asks about what? She doesn't believe his comments from last week when he says he doesn't give a dang about her. She says they've been friends for years, but he disagrees, saying she used him as a pawn. Showman goes on about how Bliss played him for some clown. He says everyone can get it now, including Bliss. He tells her to get out of his ring so he can deal with the Fiend. She tells him to be careful what he wishes for. She threatens to slap some sense into him if he won't listen. She yells at him to look at her when she's talking. Showman turns around, turns, but she starts slapping him over and over, about 3 times, telling him to wake up. Showman then scoops Bliss up, presses her high above his head. The light starts going out, as Showman still has Bliss held above his head. It sounds like the Fiend is making his arrival. Showman yells at and asks where he is. Showman tosses Bliss up in the air. As the arena goes black, you can't see, but you hear things in the back, and Bliss was up in the air. They made a mistake because you can actually see her still there, and he was gone already. She was still up in the air, and when the lights come back on, she's laying on the mat, and the Fiend is in the ring. The red lights come back up, and we see Bliss down on the mat. We didn't actually see Showman throw her to the mat. The Fiend is standing over Bliss, but there's no sign of Showman. The Fiend looks around, and Showman appears on the big screen. He's laughing now. The Fiend clutches his own head and starts laughing in his mask. Braun keeps laughing until he yells out at the Fiend. The Fiend looks up from Bliss, and he and Showman stare at each other. Showman still is on the big screen. The screen flashes with a shot from the Fiend, and we hear him say, "Let me in," as SmackDown goes off the air. And your 205 Live results starts off with your intro song, Hail to the Crown. Mick Joseph and Drew Gulak welcome us to another edition of 205 Live from the Performance Center. It's the Cruiserweight Champion, Santos Escobar, leads out. Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wild. Legado Fantasma is their faction name. Our opening tag contest. They'll be taking on Ever Rise. Mendoza begins with Martel. Tie up, Mendoza grabs a wrist lock. Martel reverses the pressure and brings Mendoza to his knees. Mendoza breaks free and lands a kick to Martel's midsection. Pace picks up, Mendoza chops Martel, but Martel fires back with a reverse elbow. Parker tags in and goes back after the arm. Wild blindly tags in from the apron and hits a DDT on Parker to give Legado del Fantasma the advantage. Wild yanks at Parker's ear before smashing his head into the turnbuckle. Satmare and needs to hit back from Wild. He switches to an armbar. Martel tries to rally Parker to make a tag. Wild stops any momentum with an elbow. Mendoza tags back in. Tandem offense from Legado del Fantasma for a near fall. Mendoza clubs Parker in the back. Then applies a modified Cobra Clutch. Power slam attempt. Parker counters and is able to bring in Martel. Martel comes in hot by drop kicking Wild. Big back body drop to Wild. Then a lariat from Martel takes Mendoza to the outside. Double team by Ever Rise. Mendoza breaks up the pinfall. Legado del Fantasma connects with their insecurity Russian leg sweep combination for the pinfall win. Footage from last week's showdown between Danny Burch and Tony Nese is played, where Ariel DeVere made his return to 205 Live to attack on a lower can. He'll be coming up in Action Next. Your main event. Commercial for the WWE shop, followed by a preview for TakeOver 30. Main event time. Ariel DeVere is out first. This will be his first matchup on 205 Live since March, thanks to Vic Joseph. He'll be taking on Jake Atlas. Here we go. Tie up, Atlas with early control. DeVere pushes him to the ropes to force a break. Both men reset. Second tie-up. Atlas brings DeVere to the mat with a headlock takedown. Atlas repeats the spot after DeVere gets back to his feet. Huge shoulder block from Atlas. DeVere pulls at Atlas' hair and traps him in the corner, but Atlas quickly recovers and brings him to the mat again. DeVere hits his first strike of the bout with a knee to the gut. Atlas shows off his incredible athleticism by cartwheeling away from a lariat. Another headlock takedown. DeVere is visibly frustrated. Big right hand from DeVere to Atlas' lower back. He dumps Atlas in the apron, then rocks him with a knee to the face. DeVere follows up with a running drop kick that sends Atlas to ringside. DeVere, in a quick pursuit, he whips Atlas into the barricade. Over to the announce table, DeVere smashes his head right in front of Glock and Joseph. Back in the ring, DeVere softens up Atlas' arm. He drops a leg on it for a 2 count. Atlas tries to build up some momentum, but DeVere cuts him off. To reach head control, DeVere taunts Atlas. This wakes him up, running forearm from Atlas. Uppercut, charging shoulder from Atlas. He sends DeVere flying with a German suplex, nearly seals the match with an enziguri. Another combination from Atlas has DeVere in trouble. He climbs up top. DeVere shuts him off, but Atlas lands on the apron and springboards into a blockbuster. DeVere slides to the outside. Suicide dive from Atlas. 2 count. DeVere thumbs Atlas in the eye, then catches Atlas with a hammerlock lariat. It's over. DeVere wins by pinfall. DeVere shouts that he's officially back. Atlas looks distraught from the outside to end the show. And that concludes my results for SmackDown and 205 Live. Thanks again. Peace out. See you on being. If you don't know, brothers and sisters, just call me.